Hi, everyone, and welcome to another bonus episode of On a Water Break With. This is where we spotlight incredible people shaping the marching arts. From performers to designers to educators, we're here to learn from their stories and then find out what keeps them coming back season after season. This time, we go on a water break with the legendary brass educator, Matt Harloff.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in. It's time for a water break.
That was a nice clean cutoff. I love that. I am going to try and throw all of my hornline knowledge into everything I say, so just go with me, guys, okay? Hi, everyone. It's Nicole. I am so hyped to be hosting this bonus episode with you. Before we get started, don't forget to follow us at On a Water Break, subscribe, and then leave a review. It really helps others to find us in the activity and then start that conversation. I'm not on the sidelines alone today. Joining me for the first time together is our resident On a Water Break hardline correspondent and the perfect person to talk to our guest today. It's Joey.
Hi.
Did you like that intro?
It's cool to be called something, like it's nice, I think I'm the wins person. Austin and I are the wins people, and he's producing today, so I get to be on this side of the camera and get to go wins. Let's do more wins, and I think we have the best host to talk about doing that, and
Absolutely.
also fun things.
See, I'm a color guard person, but I started out as a hornline person. Matt doesn't know this, but obviously I started off in clarinet. But then I started to play baritone because I found out that baritones got more solos on the field. And then I was actually good at it. And yeah, but then I marched my first year of drum corps and I was like, I don't want to be a band director anymore. Anyway, I did color guard. So here we go. It all comes back around. Well, just to let everyone else know too, like today's guest is someone who's worked very hard to shape the sound of an entire generation of performers, from the field with Carolina Crown to the stage at Coachella. Please welcome Matt Harloff to the sidelines.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Woo.
Hey, Matt. I know that you are a very busy man, so I want to thank you first for coming and chatting with us and kind of being part of this hootenanny for a minute. Joey, do you want to start us off with our first segment with Matt?
Absolutely. So before we do anything else, Matt, we'd like to start off with something special. It's your first time on a water break, I believe, and that means you're due for a 32 count life story. You'll get 8 counts off the mat and then 32 counts to tell us your entire journey from birth to today. Are you ready?
32 counts? I get
32
32 counts.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to stop you if it's 32 counts more than that. Come on now.
Some people have more lore than others, it might extend a little bit. There might be a late cutoff, but
hey,
whenever.
What do you call that? It's a repeat. It's okay. You put on a loop.
There you go. We'll get 8 from the Met and you're off, okay? Here we go.
All right. I was born into a musical family. My dad was my band director, so I got to start with that. And in fact, I'm going to go see him tomorrow. We're going to watch some New York Yankee baseball, so I'm looking forward to that. My brother's a band director as well, so both of us followed our dad's footsteps. He helped us become huge drum corps fans. In fact, some of our family vacations were to the Drum Corps International World Championships in Madison, Wisconsin. So we did that. I went to school I was born and raised in Iowa. I went to school in Indiana University. Spent most of my drum corps career marching at Star of Indiana. And then, I found a job here in the Indianapolis area at Avon. And, rest is history, really. Been here ever since.
I did not, yeah. So I totally didn't realize, and of course, I'm going to learn a lot of things about you today, Matt. But I didn't realize that your dad was a band director and your brother is a band director too. It's like a dynasty. You've got the iron claw on the band stuff right now.
Yeah, Ben was also in Blast when Blast started. So he was in that first group that went to London.
Mhm.
So I went out there for a few days. That was awesome. It's the only time I've ever been like outside the country, like on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
I need to do more traveling, but no, I visited Ben when he was out there. It was totally cool watching them. Ben was a part of that Broadway cast as well. So yeah, and then Ben ended up finding his wife, and they moved to Minnesota. And Ben's a band director now. My dad retired a few years ago and lives up here in Indianapolis. And so yeah, it's just been part of our family. So it's awesome. It really makes our family close.
I'm sure it does, yeah.
So and we have a lot of stories, a lot of traveling together to drum corps camps and seeing some drum corps shows and stuff like that. So music, band director, drum corps has made our family really close. So it's awesome.
Oh, that is so cool. Wow, I mean, I love that. I think we're gonna go ahead and just start you with the questions if that's okay.
Let's do it. Sounds
All
good.
right. Awesome. So,
I like that better anyway.
oh, good. Well, I'm gonna be for real honest. One of the biggest reasons why, I mean, of course, I love what you do with Crown. I've always loved it. But I also want to know what happened at Coachella and how that can happen and how that did happen. So let's just start at the top. How did this opportunity with Travis Scott become a thing for you and for Crown Brass?
Yeah, it's a really funny story. So about a month ago, maybe a little bit more than a month, I'm in my normal routine of getting up in the morning, getting ready for school, and winds rehearsals, guard, drumline rehearsal, concert bands, all the stuff, all the things. And as anybody, I think we can all relate. You get up and you check your email. It's like, all right, what do we got? What did I miss in the middle of the night? And most of it, I think, I'm pretty sure that everybody can share this. Is like a lot of the emails when you wake up are kind of junk, right? So there was this one email that I got. I saw it. It was from Alyssa, but it didn't look real. So I was like, well, this is fake. So delete. I get to school and our band secretary said, "Hey, there's a voicemail from Alyssa. Here's her phone number. Give her a call. Whatever." And again, I'm like, "No, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. This is not real." Maybe I don't know what I thought it was. Maybe some sort of interview or something. I was like, "No, no, thanks. I'm good. I'm too busy. We got winds and percussion and all the concert band stuff going on."
Right.
Later that day, Nancy from Carolina Crown, one of the administrators, Nancy Coates, married to Jim Coates, she messaged me and said, "Man, I just got off the phone with Alyssa, and you need to look into this one." So I was like, "Okay." So I brought the email back up, and I was like, "Okay, what is this about that I totally deleted?" And then I read it and said, "Hey, Matt, we'd like to talk to you about an opportunity to perform with Travis Scott at Coachella." And so
I
then
thought it was fake at first too, actually, to be real honest.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I called her and we set up a call with her and another. I'm not sure exactly their titles, but obviously there's some sort of a manager or producer or something for Travis. And yeah, and then they said this is what we're kind of looking for. Travis wants to have a brass ensemble as part of his Coachella show, and we need a conductor, and we want you to be that conductor. And so then we worked it out from there, and that's kind of how all of that started. Yeah.
So so I got to ask from the youngin side of things. Did you know? So obviously we don't know Alyssa. Did you even skim and see like a Travis Scott thing, or was it just like you saw Alyssa, weren't about it? I mean, did you know who Travis Scott was before that email?
That's a crazy rumor that I've heard that there's a rumor out there that says that I didn't know who Travis Scott was. It's a crazy rumor. I mean, how would anybody believe that I didn't know who Travis Scott was?
Not having two
Um,
teen kids in your house, they would not
I
not
mean,
let you know who Travis
really,
Scott
how would I not know that? I mean, had I not known that, then Travis Scott would have known me before I would have known him. So there's no way that could have possibly happened. When I did after the call that night, when I went home, told Susie about it, and I told my son about it. What I didn't know, and I have to admit this, is that my son went to a Travis Scott concert when he came to Indianapolis. And so, like, I totally forgot about that. So, yeah. But yeah, when I saw the email didn't look real. So that's kind of the email address. It kind of looked one of those things like somebody was hacked. That's kind of what it looked like to me.
Okay.
But then when I had to look it up again, then, you saw all the names and all the stuff and phone numbers and things like that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Melissa's probably like,
Honestly,
you? What's
honestly,
that?
do I listen to Travis Scott's music? I have become more of I've listened to a lot more of his music lately. Let me just say that.
Okay. I
And
mean,
yes,
I'm not
now
gonna.
I'm a huge fan. Sure.
Okay. I wouldn't expect you to be like, yeah, that's playing in my code right now,
It's
bro.
tattooed on me.
Right. Well, getting into like the nitty gritty of it, you've already got the email, you guys are working towards it. Now you're doing the rehearsals. So I guess two things like you got the Crown kids involved. I want to know how that happened, but also the process of preparing them for like the rehearsals and things
Yeah.
like that. Like, I'm pretty sure that probably got easier as you had more Crown performers come in to do this. So if you could tell me what that rehearsal atmosphere was like or that process was like.
Yeah. After this was all like, okay, this is going to happen, then I was involved in just a couple of calls where, they talked about who was going to be in the brass line. And I think that Travis had already done some projects with Florida A&M University, and I think Jackson State as well, but for sure, I think FAMU. So my recommendation right away was let's have those, if possible, have those students that have played some of his music before, already have a relationship with Travis, and that way it'll make this process, which was going to be very quick, to go a lot faster and easier. So then we talked about how many they wanted. The number 60 came up, and so then I got a text, and they're like, "Hey, would it be okay if we had some Crown members come?" And I was like, "Well, I can ask. This is short notice and all that, but I can reach out to a number of them and see if they would be interested." And so 8 were invited, along with some students from FAMU and Jackson State. So that created the 60-piece brass ensemble. So
Oh, okay. I had no idea that it was like a bunch
yeah,
of different places. Okay, that's awesome to know.
that,
I
that
mean,
helped because you were talking about the music.
yeah.
That was another process of figuring out, what we would play, for the show. And so what was great about all that was the directors from Jackson State and FAMU, who are great. It was so awesome getting to know them and introducing myself. I mean, they're brilliant, and their students were spectacular to work with. I loved meeting them and working with them. It was so fun. But anyway, they had a lot of arrangements, and they could arrange things pretty quickly. So that made that process go a lot faster as well. So, we talked about the music, and, we came into that first rehearsal with, a lot of charts that we could possibly work out with Travis. So
Yeah.
that was great. That made that a lot better. So for sure.
Oh, wow. This is so cool. All right.
How can I just jump in more into the rehearsal process? How much stage time did you get before that first performance? Or did you even get to rehearse with Travis before that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So the first there was ultimately they scheduled 3 weekends, and there were the weekend before the first performance. So beginning of April, right? That first weekend in April, we had a rehearsal, and we all flew out to the rehearsal was in Phoenix, and so we all flew out there, and we had 2 days to, do as much as we could. There was a lot of things. I mean, obviously, if you saw the show, there were so many things in that show. It was awesome being a part of that, seeing all of that happen. And I applaud Travis for wanting to involve so many different people in his show. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Travis was invited to this huge event where some of the top artists in the world, they go every year. There's huge names that go to this every single year. He didn't have to invite that brass ensemble. He didn't have to invite the stunts, the acrobatic. He didn't have to do that. And so I applaud him for wanting to involve as many people as possible. I thought it was awesome. But anyway, get back to the rehearsal. When it was Friday, Saturday. We went home on Sunday. So Friday was a lot of learning the music, making recordings. That was the first part of that day. There was some staging and blocking scheduled as well. That night, Travis and all of his guys came. That night started with Travis kind of working some things with lighting crew, stunts. There was that part where he walked down a wall.
Yeah.
That was really him. So he had to learn how to do that. So there was those things that I think they started going through. But eventually, the brass was invited into the arena and just to work on some music. That's where we all met Travis. I met him. It was so cool because Chase B, his DJ, was there. Again, an incredible guy.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of his other friends were there as well. They were just so nice, gracious, and hey, they come up to me, hey, thanks for doing this, and I was like, thanks for asking me. So it was really awesome. And then we started working the music. It's like, how is this all going to work? They didn't know. So it's like, hey, what do you know? Well, we know this thing. Well, let's play that. We know this. And then we're like, well, why don't you just play this part and I'll play this part. So we just kind of coordinated what would happen with those charts, Fiend, Sicko Mode. Yeah. And there was some things that we ended up never performing, like 4x4. But no, we worked out, a good 6-7 charts with him that night. And it was fun. It was a blast. So that second day, more playing, putting music together, blocking, staging, putting in choreography. Our goal was to do a run through. We got through most of it. There's a lot of details to work through. So
logistics. Yeah.
So yeah, that was
nothing that's new to you, right? Being the Avon band director, working on the fall show, working on the winter stuff, like nothing. Like, did it ever feel like it was like this? I guess what I'm trying to say, to me, it seems like that doesn't seem like a new world to you. You're just like applying this thing you're really, really good at, and now applying it into like a different medium. Like, I don't know how does a management company find like the right person like that? Like that, I think that is so cool because I can't think of another band director to be like, right off the bat, like he's got access to brass, he's got, this lineage, he's got this asset, like how to like that. I just think that's so cool.
I don't think they knew. By the way, there's many people that could have done what I did. So there's a lot of great people out there. And I don't think that they knew my background. I think it was all about seeing some of those YouTube videos that are popular, whether the Hammer video or there's another video called God's Horn Line. It's funny because they actually called that when we started the show, we played that. And so they actually called that piece God's Horn Line from that YouTube video. So I think when they saw that, and me getting to know Travis, both as watching him very close as a performer, and I got some other stories about that as well, but seeing him as a performer, seeing him behind the scenes in practice, that guy is full out energy all the time. Like, there was no like backing off. There was no like going through the motions. There's no, hey, this is I'm singing here, blah, blah, blah. There's none of that. He is full out high energy all the time. And, I think when they were looking for a conductor and they found those videos, I think what
absolutely. No, hands are never like this. They're always like this.
Yeah. They wanted so that passion and energy. Yeah. So I think that's, I think that's why they didn't know what they were getting in terms of me and my background. I think energy was the number one thing for them. So,
And you brought it, dude.
Yeah,
You totally
well,
brought it, and so did
I mean,
and
everyone
just like
else.
Travis, you always do, right? Like
well,
that's
like I
that's
said, I will just say this: it's pretty easy to bring that energy when you are in front of some incredible students within Crown,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they have that volume and that
Yep.
sound. And it's also very easy when you have somebody like Travis Scott, throwing some energy at your way. It's easy to get excited. So,
yeah.
yeah. So it's
Awesome.
not just me; it's everybody. It's everybody.
I've got one more question for you, then we're going to go to a commercial. But I wanted to know, like, because being at Coachella meant you had to miss the WGI Wins Championships pretty much up until that last day. I did see that video. And then that's when I was like, what do you mean Coachella? Somebody tell me, spill the tea. But what was the decision like for you to make that to, come later, or even, just, hey, I'm going to see if I can make it?
Well, first, I mean, I'm the head band director of Avon, and with that, it's. I mean, obviously the kids signed off on this, so I'm not going to lie.
Right.
When I went up to the drum line and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to miss. Yeah, I'm going to miss. Your finals performance," and they're like, "If you don't do this, we're going to be pissed." So
Good
you
kid.
better go with Travis Scott. Don't worry about WGI. So the kids knew all of it, even though they had to keep it secret as well. But well, let me go back. I will say that was part of the process when the first couple of calls, because I was just like, okay, when is this, and what are the dates? And when they gave it to me, I'm looking at my calendar and I'm like, guys, that's WGI. So if this is going to happen, then is there any way I could take a red eye back? And they're like, sure, that can happen. And obviously, I didn't realize it wasn't going to happen, especially for the Wins Championships. I knew I would miss the drumline because Travis was assigned Saturday. I didn't know I would wins until I found out that Travis's time slot was 11:30 p.m. Pacific time, and that meant there was no red eye. That means you're taking a morning flight now.
Right.
So, I'm not going to lie, that bothered me because you want to be there for your kids, and whether it's with the drum line as just supporting as the director. I'm not the director of the drum line, but as the Avon band director, I want to support them. I want to be there for them. I want to be one of their biggest fans. So that bothered me. And then when I found out that I wasn't going to be able to make the Wins performance, that it bothered me. As it probably would bother anybody. So what I did was I ended up working out with the travel company. So how can we get me there as fast as possible? What are ways we can do that? And so they said, well, the fast go either to Indianapolis or Cincinnati. So what's the earliest you can get either one? And they're like, well, if you fly out of the Ontario airport, which is just west of LA, instead of LAX, we can go through Denver into Cincinnati. We can get you to Cincinnati by 2:30. And I'm like, okay, then I can get an Uber and get up to Dayton and be there at least for awards. So I ended up doing that one.
Yeah, dude. I mean, honestly, because your kids, I saw that video. Your kids were so hyped to see you, and I was like, "What is happening right now?" Not that they shouldn't love you. That's not what I'm saying. But I was just like, everyone was so behind. Yes, Matt Harloff is the man. What just happened? Tell me what
Yeah.
just happened. But then after I saw what you did, I was like, "Heck yeah, man! Yes, he is. He's definitely the man right now." And everyone was behind you, literally, like not just your students and your kids, like other fellow educators and people who just know your wife, but that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You've been great. We're going to go into a commercial and then we'll be back with a little bit more questions.
Celebrating its 25th anniversary, Guard Closet was founded as a consignment shop in 2000. Since then, it has grown to become your one-stop shop for the marching arts.
Do you need consignment uniforms and flags for your color guard, marching band, or drumline? We have thousands of sets of consignments in stock and ready to ship.
Do you need show design and custom choreography? Our designers have years of experience in the marching arts.
Do you need to sell your items and clear out your storage areas? We take in more than 600 sets of consignments each year and return hundreds of thousands of dollars to our consigners for their sales.
Do you need to have your students order shoes, gloves, and other equipment? We can set up a microsite for easy student ordering of a wide variety of items.
Do you need custom costumes or flags? We can help get you great designs from our team through top vendors like Showday Designs.
Have you listened to our podcast On a Water Break? Weekly episodes and bonus content keep you entertained and informed with what's going on in the marching arts.
For over 25 years, Guard Closet has been here to help. Check us out at guardcloset.com or follow us on social media.
And we're back. I've got a couple more questions for you, Matt. My first one is, what were some of the biggest challenges having live musicians performed in that kind of a setting?
One of the biggest challenges was the first time that we were able to practice how it was going to be at Coachella was when we were there. So the sound check for us was on Saturday from 11 to 1. And there were a lot of things going on because there was, the stage was being set for, and this is the unbelievable thing about Coachella, you do have the main stage, but it's set for each performer. So what Travis brought for his show was different than Lady Gaga the night before or Green Day before Travis Scott. So, it's just amazing the amount of people that are there to set everything up. And you have this amount, just like bands in WGI, you have this amount of time to set everything up and make sure all the pyro works, make sure all of the acrobatic stuff works. But in terms of the live performances and stuff, we didn't have a lot of time to practice with the actual stage being outside. So that was certainly a challenge.
Yeah.
Because like I said, in our world, it's all about reps, right? Like, do it again, do it again, do it again. And by the time your marching band or your WGI groups or drum corps, as we're looking into the drum corps season here pretty soon, we have done it thousands and thousands of times. For us, it wasn't that. We did it a handful of times. And you have earpieces in where people are telling you what to do. Now move here. Now move here. So we're used to, let's do this 400 times. And we don't have that amount of time. The other challenge was the space between the main stage and where Travis spent he was different with the weekends, but most of his time was spent on an A stage, which was that circle stage. If you watch the show, that was a good football field and a half away from the main stage. So that was also a huge challenge to make all of that work. So, yeah. So those are some pretty big challenges as we went through the two performances.
Yeah.
Right. And both of those mediums, it does seem like it would be, just a lot to ingest and then do like in a very short amount of time. So, I mean, Joey, did you have something you were going to say too?
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but the start of my performing career was not drum corps. It was stage dance like this for like Chris Brown, Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne. Those are like things that I did when I was 18, 19 years old, competing in World of Dance. And so what the audition would really hold for us was it wasn't about consistency. It was kind of like what Matt was saying earlier. It was all about power and energy that you would bring to the stage. If you could fill up the room is what they talked about, the arena, and then how you could just go with the flow. So like recovery is something that I've really gotten good at teaching, because that's all we had was, like Matt saying, sometimes it was an hour where we had to figure out lights, blocking, staging of things. And then we'd say, all right, in 2 hours, we're going to do the show. So, and then it felt like a SNL where like right before a curtain opens, but like, oh, by the way, we cut the second song and we're going right into the third one after the fourth one. Flip that, ready, set, go, bye. So,
And That's exactly what happened. With Coachella, you have a hard stop at 1 a.m. So it is curfew. It is sound ordinance. And they live by, so that first show, we're starting to get stuff in our ears. Like, we got 10 minutes, guys. So we're done in 10. And we had, a good 8 songs to go, so there was some quick moves there.
Yeah.
The second show, Travis wanted to say thank you, and appreciate the Coachella and the fans and all that. So, that knocked the song out, so yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's hard to do when you have that many people involved, so
Yeah.
make sure everybody's on the same page and things like that. So that
You just
whole
hold
thing
on
with
tight.
funny story, the second weekend, that whole thing where Travis started dancing with the brass, that was never rehearsed. That Travis made all that happen. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was so
Yeah.
awesome.
What a-
Fiend and then SICKO going right at it. That was never practiced. That was
what a cool action shot, that member gets to have now, like no one's going to top that.
yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I should have seen it, but I didn't, probably because I was, looking at something else, whatever. So many things to look at. I had thousands of people like right in front of me. But when I saw that video when we were on the bus heading back to the hotel, I couldn't believe that happened. And it was, but yeah, that's his name's Andrew, one of the members of Crown. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
All right, man. Where's that picture? Where's that
yeah,
picture?
yeah, that's great.
Well, with all the things that happened in that short amount of days, can you tell me about some parts that were your favorite, like your best parts of that time where you were at Coachella?
Oh man, there's a lot. I enjoyed getting to know all of the people that were a part of that, whether it was Travis's sound guys that travel with him all the time and they're on the board and they're making the calls, getting to know Chase a little bit. He was so fun to work with. And there was a lot of things we had to figure out. So there was one moment in our rehearsal where we were trying to figure out how the arrangement works with one of his songs. And I was working with, Travis and Chase. We're all just working, trying to figure all this out. And finally I got it. And it's like, okay, I got it. All I need to do is teach it to the kids. And, just being able to work with them was a blast. We ended up, this was props to the travel companies. We understood that we needed to get together after that first weekend of practices. They're like, we need to get together before Saturday. So they changed all of our flights. Think about that. 60 flights, and all of the people that they changed all of our flights to get in earlier Friday. And we had a room, and Travis came in and we did a musical run through in this. It was a large convention hall, not huge or anything, but it was a convention space. And it was awesome going through the show. They had the band sitting down. We just going to go through musically from top to bottom, so there I was, we're doing what we were supposed to do. And, remember I was saying Travis's energy all the time. We were in this room. Nobody was there just except us. And he was all out. And I was 10 feet from him watching all of this happen. And it was so awesome to
That's what's up.
watch
That's what's
him do his thing and have that much energy. Watch the sound guys, watch Chase, and listening to them through our ears and how they communicate during the show and stuff. That was incredible. So the performance thing was certainly at the top of the list. I never got a sense of how many people were in the audience until I came home and Susie, Tyson, Shayla, and I, we watched it again. And you saw a drone, and I was just like, wow, there's a lot of people there. I was like, I was there, but it's dark, I have sunglasses on and I don't see, I just see the people that are in front of me. And
Right
so,
on.
yeah, but that was awesome. But all of those memories, and I'm probably forgetting a number, but just getting to know those guys and hanging with them and working with them closely like that, seeing them perform closely like that, was a treat. It was a treat, no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, what a cool thing to check off your bucket list, you
Well,
know.
it was never on my list. I mean,
You know, like
I had no idea that was going to be something on the list, but
He had to like actually do it first, then put it on the list.
right, for sure.
write it in just to cross it off. I mean, so that kind of leads me into my next question is if you had to give one piece of advice to performers or educators about taking unexpected opportunities outside of the activity, what would it be?
Do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Period. Just do it.
Like
Open every email.
Yeah. Right. Well, be careful on that one because you never know what it is not real. No, I don't know. I guess, like I said earlier, there was a lot to it because I am blessed to be a member, one of the directors at Avon, and we do everything all the time. I kind of had to, make sure that it was okay, especially to the kids, that I was going to miss that, that weekend. So, there's that. But no, if you get opportunities, whether it's something like this or to perform with an orchestra, or there's a lot of different things that a band director could do, and again take things away from, like obviously the kids at Avon were like, man, I have pictures with Travis Scott, are you kidding me, and but I can go home from an educational standpoint, I can say, man, this guy doesn't let up, and it doesn't matter if he's the same person performing or in practice, and it's awesome. And so they see him perform, they see the YouTube, they see the social media, they go to his concerts, but they didn't see the practices where he's the same guy and he's so good. And no, it was, if you get an opportunity, something like that, go for it.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Well, I know that we are going to, and thank you so much for indulging us with all the questions about Coachella and whatnot, because honestly, I will tell you, I was just like, I know exactly who this person is, but what are they doing with Travis Scott? And you just like opened our whole world to it. And I really appreciate that. I am going to jump down though. We have our next segment is called What Are We Doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
All right. So now it's time for this. What are we doing? Basically, this is the part of the show where we call out something in the marching arts that we'd like to see happen or something that we just don't see enough of. I'm pretty sure that Susie has probably filled you in on most of this or this in a general. So, Matt, do you have a what are we doing?
I don't know if I have a good one. I don't know if I have anyone really, just because I don't know. I guess just because my mind doesn't really, and maybe it should. My mind just doesn't think like that. If you think about, what are we not doing or what do we need to do? I'm always on to the next thing. I'm always on, like right now, it's like, all right, WGI is over. This crazy Coachella thing is over. Now it's time for concert band, and, our orchestra is going to contests, and Crown's just around the corner. And, it's like, I don't know if I have time to think about, stuff like, what are we, so I'm not, I think I'm going to fail at this segment of what are we doing. When I hear that, I just think about my dad, to be honest with you, because when my dad, when he would I would bring him up to help with Avon. And anytime there was a water break, my dad was like, what are we doing? When I hear this segment, and I was not going to lie, I think of my dad. So I'm sorry if I'm not going to answer.
No,
perfect.
I think your what are we doing is what are we doing not living in the moment, I mean, that's beautiful. I think it's important to do.
I guess I should say this. If we're going to go there, and thanks for helping me, but I will preface it by saying I don't do this, is stop and smell the roses. Sometimes, when, I'm always on to the next thing. So, Now I haven't certainly have enjoyed this Coachella experience with my family. That's probably been one of the best parts about this whole thing, to seeing them, proud that I got to do something like that. That that to me is, you know, I could say that in everything though, not only about this Travis Scott situation, but Crown, Avon, whatever. That means having your family proud of you is what is most important to me. But um, you know, stop and smell the roses sometimes. If you can. And I fail at it all the time. I'm the worst person because we're always on to the next thing. Here comes the drum corps season. Here comes the marching band season, and try to stop and smell the roses as it's happening, not when you're retired walking around Disney World, which is where Susie is right now, by the way. I will say that.
I did see the pictures. I thought
Yeah.
we were gonna get. I didn't see you in the pictures, so I
Yeah,
thought
was
I was like, maybe he'll be back home. But I was really hoping that it was gonna be Mickey ears and the castle behind you.
I
I
wish
was
it
really
was.
excited for that.
She's celebrating her sister's 50th birthday. So
Congrats.
they're doing a sister trip, which is great. But anyway, try to stop and smell the roses while it's happening. I guess that would be my thing. Thanks for helping me answer the question because I had no idea.
That's so fair. That's so fair.
I'll have to say my what are we doing is why are we not mixing more medias or different kinds of ways of entertainment, like just seeing that it's not the first time that I've heard of anyone being on stage like from the marching arts with a very well-known artist. I mean, color guard, the people from Cypress Independent with Lady Gaga. There was some drum folks that I knew who was did halftime before too. And I love that genre and that mix. And honestly, it just adds to the cake that like there were different kinds of, I don't want to say just different medias like, concert to marching arts, but also like, HBCUs with core style. Like that's something that's been in my brain for years now. And I love that happened. I'd love to see more of it. So why aren't we mixing more of these things? Why does it have to be just one way? Why can't we put them all together?
Yeah.
I think opportunities like this kind of shed those lights and maybe I don't know if blur the line is the right thing, but maybe bring it as close together is a better way to say it. Is there are walls that are kind of up that are I feel imaginary, and it just takes something like this where we get to collaborate that we realize like we do the same thing. You call it this, I call it that, but it's music and it's entertainment. That's that's being from a musical family and having the mariachis and stuff. My a lot of my family would have bands and they would go play. It was all about creating music, and they would play pop music, like things that were on the radio in English, but now they're playing it in Spanish in a cumbia form. It's really cool, and yeah, I think that's awesome. I don't know that I have a what are we doing. I've been on a couple like the last 3 days of this week, so my what are we doing is once again giving Joey more rest time and time with his puppy. I'm gonna do that after this.
That's very fair. All right. We're going to go into our Gush and Goes next.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and go.
Okay, so we're going to end this on a high note, and this is where you can be super braggadocious about anything that you want to about. So it can be something that's in the marching arts community. It could be something that's not in the marching arts community. We don't care. We just want you to brag. So, Matt, since you're our guest, what are you gushing and going about?
Well, I'm probably more excited about anything. Excited the indoor wind season was successful. And I don't just say that for Avon. I say that for the activity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that continues to grow. And there's a lot of people that are involved helping that grow. Glenn Fugit is part of it. And obviously, Wayne Dillon stepped up as the director. So many incredible people are a part of that activity. And I think there was another great step forward for that. So I'm pretty excited about that. Other than that, I'm excited. I mean, our school is ending, so I'm excited about our orchestra and wind symphony coming up. So the end of school, beginning of the marching season. And then obviously I'm excited that now it's starting to get warm outside, and that means drum corps season is around the corner.
We're about to
And
be outside, y'all.
super excited about Carolina Crown this. So yeah, really excited about that. So I guess that's my gush is more exciting than anything.
We actually have a one of our newest, I guess you could say, members of Honor Water Break is a contra player in your horn line, Amari.
Oh, really? Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Amari. Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
He is so fun.
He is a smart kid. Like,
Yep.
wow. So I'm excited to see his little gush and goes and things like that.
Looking forward to spending another summer with that guy. He's a 10.
Cool. Oh, good.
Hey, it's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
Matt. Oh, go ahead, Joey.
I was just gonna say I want that sound bit just so I can play in rehearsal. Like that's the end of the water break. I think we can figure it out. We'll make it happen.
All right. I do want to thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your heart and your work and your story of all of Coachella and everything else with us. Where can the people follow you or Crown just to keep up with you and what you're doing this summer?
Most people do Instagram now, right? So I have an Instagram account. So does Carolina Crown. In fact, I thought I saw some things where the guard and percussion and brass, which I think they have their own accounts as well. I could be wrong with that, but they were doing a takeover because they have camp this weekend. I wish I was there. So I, like I said, I also have an Instagram account, Facebook as well.
What's your handle?
Just Matt Harloff. I try to do TikTok. I tried. Susie does that, and she helps me out. You
guys are such a good team.
I have a Twitter. No, it's not a team. It's Susie, 100%, and we all know it. It's all Susie. I'm on Twitter as well. That's kind of more of an Avon thing.
Okay.
But in terms of Crown and stuff and pictures and things like that, and Instagram and Facebook is, I didn't do. I call it Stoop Chat. What is it?
Snapchat.
Snapchat. Yeah.
I would subscribe to a B reel of Matt Harloff. Have you heard of this one?
No, I think I actually might have a Snapchat account. I think, but I was so lost on how to work that I was just like, all right, I'm done. This is too much for me. I can't have 16 different things. So I know. I'm old, so just give me Instagram, Facebook. Let me just do that and see if I can do that well. So, and then Crown is all on that as well. So, there's the Harloff Hub. Susie does a lot of stuff on YouTube. So most of our watches are what Susie did over COVID. She put together some videos for elementary school music teachers. I was like, Susie, do more of that because, that's where a lot of people watch those. So, she put together some really cool videos there. So again, Susie does it. It's called the Harloff Hub YouTube account.
Also fair. So he just gave you the plethora of the different ways you can follow him, Crown, or the Harloff Hub. If you have a question or a good topic to talk about, go ahead and email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media and DM us if you want to be on the show. We even have a form you can fill out if you want to be a guest. So you just check it out. Our link is in the bio. Or if you just take out your phone and make a video and you send it to us, maybe you'll see yourself on the podcast soon. Never know. Joey, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And we need to do more episodes together.
Absolutely.
Realizing that we just this is one and
we're a good vibe.
We are a good vibe.
Yeah. We got to keep this going.
One more thing. Don't forget, we have a YouTube channel now, so go and subscribe, and then you'll see all of our lovely faces and shenanigans on YouTube. And before you close out of your favorite podcast listening app, subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with a friend. You can follow us on social media at On a Water Break, and we'll see you at rehearsal on the next water break.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Reams. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lida. To learn more, visit lidamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.